March 2023, a group of researchers formed the Truth Mafia, a collective determined to investigate conspiracies and occult mysteries that have been buried for centuries. With a passion for uncovering the truth, they delve into the darkest corners of history, pop culture, and ancient mysteries, seeking answers to questions that have plagued humanity for ages. The Truth Mafia is led by Tommy Truthful, a man shrouded in mystery and intrigue, dedicated to uncovering the hidden truths behind some of the world's most perplexing and enigmatic phenomena. Their research has led them down countless rabbit holes, from deciphering ancient symbols to exploring the hidden meanings behind popular media and literature. Despite the risks and challenges they face, the Truth Mafia remains steadfast in their quest for knowledge. Will their investigations lead to groundbreaking revelations, or will they unravel an even deeper web of secrets and lies? Only time will tell in this ongoing saga of conspiracy and intrigue.
Welcome to another episode of Truth Mafia News. This is episode 21. Make sure you smash that like button, share this video. Today we got a special guest for you I'm going to introduce here in a second. And for episode 21, you guys know me, I'm always looking at the numbers. 21 is tied to Saturn and the whole Saturn moon matrix, the simulation. So I wanted to bring someone on to really discuss this simulation and how it's creating this artificial intelligence is eating up all the organic matter to power up this phantom matrix, which we've talked about before. We're going to get into certain entities, what entities are behind this, different aquatic entities that I got some questions about for our guest. And before we get going, guys, I need you to do me a big favor. Take 2 seconds out and make sure you go opt in to our newsletter. That's on truthmafia.com. That link is down below in the description. And don't forget, this podcast is sponsored through Bodyalign and their energy wellness. So you got the disc that goes on your phone, which it has certain frequencies and energies binded to that disc, and then it protects you from an array of things. You know, the EMF can lead to headaches, tiredness, fatigue, brain fog, sleep disruption, nausea, weight gain. There's so many different things it can really cause. So we have the wellness band too. That's what I like. Our guest always rocks his. My pops rocks his. Use promo code Truth Mafia, and that link is down below. And now let me introduce my guest, Ishmael Perez, and my pops, Papa Truthful. How you guys doing?
Wonderful. Hey, Tommy. Good seeing you again, brother. In like manner, Papa Truthful. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, brother Ishmael. You too, brother. Love what you're doing out there. Love what you're doing.
Thank you for coming. And guys, make sure you check out Ishmael's book too. He's got his 2 books behind him there. He's what's the title of your books, Ishmael?
The one that's brown to my right here is called The Secret Government Invisible Architects. That displays 6,000 years of cabal activity, the whole secret society influence on society going back to after the flood. And then I also give a detailed explanation as to who the forces of light have been kind of battling the cabal for thousands of years. So yeah, that book is like suppressed history coming back to light. And then the other one, the purple blue one, that's our cosmic origin. That one restores galactic history, Earth's place in the organized multiverse. And it's definitely a mind opener when it comes to really opening us up to the fact that we are not alone in this universe, and that indeed civilizations have been here for millions of years.
Yeah, man.
And one thing, son, before we go, I turned my camera off real quick because I wanted to go and tell you all that I bought both of Ishmael's books when I was in the Dominican Republic at the beginning of the year because Spirit told me to buy, your discernment, and when I got back, I actually read both of them. And these 2 books need to be read by everybody watching this live and going to watch this in the future. So that's how powerful they were. I couldn't get enough of them. So they were amazing, amazing stuff you did there, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to check them out. But Ishmael, so this whole matrix that we're living in, there's some, I mean, I know through my decoding in the gematria, there's some type of source code attached to everything. So I've always known we're in some type of simulation. And I would like to hear your whole theory on this matrix, how it's powering up this phantom matrix and eating the organic matter, what entities are behind it, and just your theory on that whole thing.
Sure. So first, I would like to make a distinction between the artificial cybernetic matrix, which is literally a computer scenario thing where you are literally inside a real computer and you have no soul. You're just kind of like a sim. You're a character. Perhaps you're Mario or Luigi in a game, Mario Brothers. That is what you call a artificial simulation. The other type of simulation is what I call a living simulation. Now, the difference is this. In a living simulation, even though the same laws and principles that are applied in a cybernetic computerized simulation based on code is also enacted in the real simulation. The difference is this, though. In the real simulation, the code is it's got meaning and you could say intention behind it, whereas in the cybernetic simulation, it's just a random case of binary codes and different numbers that collapse the digital world or that give the illusion of some sort of a digital world that we call video games, right? So those are two different simulations. The real simulation is based on the idea that everything in our reality, even though it's held together through the same concept as pixelation, just like in the computer world. But the difference is this, that in the real world, the simulation is conscious. The simulation is alive. So to give you an example, when I go up to a tree, which is part of the hologram that we live in, right? It's right. A simulation. That tree still has consciousness. That is the difference as opposed to, say, a sim character or Mario or Luigi in the game Mario Brothers going up to a tree in the game, in the computer, and trying to talk to the tree. That's the difference, is that in the real world, the simulation is conscious. It's a living simulation. It's embedded with soul, and everything is alive in consciousness. And there is a lot of ample evidence through the fields of quantum mechanics that tells us that consciousness is in every single thing, including this table in front of me. So what does that tell us? That there is no such thing as dead consciousness or dead matter, that everything is infused with some sort of, some sort of an energy field, which is the difference between that and a cybernetic simulation. So where am I getting at? Well, first of all, the real simulation is a thought projection from a cosmic being many call God. So beyond the organized concept of religion, God is seen more as the focal point, or really just the consciousness that emanates all time, matter, and space. Everything started from a point of singularity, right? Before the universe existed, everything exploded from a point that is probably the size of a needle pin. And from that point, the entire universe has been expanding at an accelerated rate. So what I'm trying to say is that consciousness always precedes matter, always precedes life forms, always precedes time and space. And if you want to be technical, when it comes down to what's real and what's not real, the only thing real, due to the double slit experiment, which states that all reality is held by virtue of the observer, yes, everything ultimately collapses into consciousness, which is equivalent to the waveform. So we are living in a conscious simulation where everything is alive, where I could talk to the tree, I could talk to my dog, and my dog is conscious. Whereas, in a video game, which is very similar to the Phantom Matrix, and by the way, the multiverse known as the Phantom Matrix is literally a big, giant cosmic video game living inside a computer that was generated by an advanced AI billions of years ago. So that computer, we could say this inorganic Phantom Matrix, where only artificial intelligences and cybernetic beings exist, is really a mimicking in a simulation of our own conscious multiverse, the living conscious multiverse, but enacted in a computer, in a digital form, you could say. And that's what they're trying to do right now. Big tech is doing everything in their power to converge biology with what they call the biological digital convergence, with cybernetics. They call it transhumanism. Well, that's what's happening right now. Right now, we are giving an awesome opportunity to either deny the transhumanist timeline, right, by doing the spiritual work, by doing it naturally through the organic way of life, which is what a lot of people are doing, as opposed to those that want to take the lazy route and want to access supernatural powers and immortality through, of course, machine augmentation and augmented reality. Like, for instance, the metaverse. So all that stuff is part of the inorganic AI timeline that ultimately leads into the Phantom Matrix. So the Phantom Matrix, again, it is a multiverse that exists outside of our own time and space, but it is existing in a giant, you could say it's being generated by some sort of advanced quantum computer. So that is what the Phantom Matrix is, and it is as big as the multiverse, but it exists in a sense of it's in a reality of digits rather than real. You know what I mean? Like, there is no soul, there is no spirit, there is no consciousness. It's all it is, just it's just programmed computers. Yeah, that's all it is. Programmed computerized beings. I guess best way to explain it.
Well, it's fascinating because there's so much evidence that they are trying to create this digital quantum copy of the soul and trick people into uploading their consciousness to the cloud. I think a lot of that is this. They're trying to trick us into this. And then me and Pops were talking about before how HARP and their geoengineering technology, like with the chemtrails and stuff, it's literally eating up our organic atmosphere. And then you've talked about how this Phantom Matrix that they're creating is powered up through eating organic matter, right?
Right. Yes. Well, that's how they're able to charge this computerized version, which is a mimicking of our organic multiverse. They literally use advanced technologies where they use reverse codings, such as black holes. Black holes are part of this, you could say, way of harnessing, real energy or conscious energy from the multiverse into the Phantom Matrix. They do it through parasites. They do it through nanites. They do it through NPCs, non-player characters. Non-player characters are generated by the Phantom Matrix, having somewhat of a physical reality in our world, but are devoid of spirit and soul. So yeah, they're doing it in many different ways to pretty much use us as battery resources so that they could use that energy that technically comes from our emotions, by the way, because they don't have emotions, we do. So what they do is, when they feel like they need more energy or more input, they create conditions in our world that causes suffering, that causes humanity to be in a constant state of struggle, worry, stress. And when they do that, when humanity falls into this, what's been happening for the last few thousand years, right? They feed off of that energy. So this is very similar to the Lush, the concept of adrenochrome. But again, the AI, these AIs are actually feeding off of these negative emotions.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I wanted to, it's very interesting, Brother Ishmael, that, now all of a sudden Congress is talking about having bodies of fallen angels and, different alien races. And now, Doge gets created, the Department of Government Efficiency, and they start talking about the black op books on, where they're funding the alien technology. So it looks like disclosure is well on its way to bring people up and aware of what's been going on. I know there's two sides of the equation. You refer to them as the dark side and the light. which this battle, as you do really describe it well, in the Secret Government book and in our Cosmic Origin book. This battle's been raging not for thousands of years. We're talking billions of years. This battle has been raging on. But, from you, I'm hearing, and from others, I'm hearing that are involved in a lot of spiritual work, that most people that are caught up in, and I think religion is very good for a lot of people. And I think it is very bad for a lot of people. It depends upon, if you understand that you don't need anybody to get direct connect.
Right.
But I think that, it's going to be a lot of people that are caught up in all of this other stuff that do not believe that there's other species in these galaxies, right? They don't believe it. They believe that humanity is the only beings in all creation. We're the center of everything, and that all this other stuff that was created, there's nothing on it. You know what I mean? It's just empty. So it's going to be interesting, to watch this whole thing unfold, as now you see the federal government's involved in disclosure around aliens and starting to give some of that truth out there. What do you see happening? Because you and I have talked before, where you don't think, you think this solar flash is going to happen sooner than later, right? I mean, I know that you talked about the AI god that eats up universes and devours planet and matter, creating this electromagnetic pollution that we have right now. If it continues to go the same way, this will happen to us. Now, I know that it's not going to go that way. I know the White Hats are going to win, but I'm just saying, you can see the system that they create to do exactly what you were discussing, in order to take down worlds and take down universes. You had said before, you believe this solar flash, this big one that's going to take people, open up more of their DNA, is going to be happening, early in the first quarter of 2025.
Well, there is a huge probability that it will, because of the fact that scientifically speaking, they are predicting the next Carrington event, which is very similar to what happened in 18, I believe, 61, that took out the telegram. But now it's it's going to take out the grid. It's going to take out the communication systems, the satellites. So I would say that the Carrington event nowadays, because of where we're at in the grand cycle of things, there are these things called stellar activation cycles, which have a lot to do with the precision of the equinox, the different cycles of time, and the alignment with the great central sun. And due to where we're at with the great central sun, there is a huge possibility that this solar flash event that many people in our community have been talking about for years could very well be happening in sometime spring of 2025, because that's when solar maximum is going to be at its most highest, or reaching some sort of a maximum peak. And this is definitely going to be a huge, you could say, I apologize for the background noise. Construction. I have construction workers working on the roof.
Oh, so good.
I thought that was your pit bull, man. I didn't know.
I thought it was a sword.
Throwing around his bull or something, playing with his bull in the house. It's interesting that you're saying that, because, you're really connected to energy. I'm really connected to energy. I've been doing this for 3 decades now. My son knows, even before that, because he was raised within it. He hits me up with a text message a few days ago asking me how I'm feeling, and talking about how he's feeling and the family's feeling, and how that the sun has really been blasting us. You know what I mean? Just hammering us and hammering us and hammering us. And I think a lot of people are feeling, feeling strange. I told him to breathe through it. I believe that, proper breathing and meditation is what you need to do. Like you said, spiritual practices, connection with the divine, giving gratitude, thankfulness, getting that vibration in the right, moving in the right direction. Because it looks like this planet is going there, whether people want it to or not. It's headed that direction. What's going to happen to the people if they don't get that, get that right, make sure they're moving forward with the planet? Because again, we got AI accelerating at speeds that, because I keep my eye on it because I'm a marketer and I use what I need to use to market. I don't want it to control the world, but I'm looking at, they're talking about maybe having artificial general intelligence. And I know they do in Black Ops, right? And all of that, but they're talking about it being public next year, coming
Yeah,
out with this.
right.
So seems like things are moving to a point where something
Yeah.
big has to happen in a big, big way.
Yeah, well, everything's going to head into some sort of a big climatic event where, you know, on one side, we're going to be seeing the rolling out of the Tesla bots, self-driving cars, artificial intelligence, taking over the workforce, over 85% of the world population being jobless because of that. But before it gets to that, from what I've studied in the ancient manuscripts, is that this event called the solar flash is going to split the timelines. So the people that are on the spiritual path won't get to experience the AI takeover of planet Earth. That's only going to happen in the negative timeline. So there are going to be two different timelines that are going to be kind of existing separated from one another. Right now they're coexisting. However, when the trigger comes, they're going to be separating. And the people that are on the spiritual path are definitely going to be going into some sort of new earth organic timeline. And the people that are not on the spiritual path are going to be, unfortunately for them, going into a technocratic dystopian timeline where they will be becoming cyborgs. And if you read the prophecies carefully, including the book of Revelation, the book of Daniel, I'm not a biblical person. I mean, I'm not a religious person. But a lot of these ancient texts, a lot of these holy texts do have some valuable metaphors that are symbolic of events that are going to be happening in the future. And when I study these records, one of the things that I was able to unveil is that they all share a same common thread regarding some sort of like a 1,000-year ring of peace, which we call the millennium. In the East, they call it a golden age. And at the end of that 1,000 years, all evil is going to be kind of like not happening anymore. It's going to be put away. But then at the end of the 1,000 years, there's going to be like this final clash against evil. So as I put two and two together, my friends, after studying all of the manuscripts, the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Rig Vedas, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, I mean, they all talk about the same thing pretty much, that there will be at least 1,000 years of new earth, peace, harmony, upgrades, accelerated spiritual evolution, whatever you want to call it. And then at the end of that 1,000-year reign, there will be a final battle against evil. Well, it is my belief that the AI timeline, which is going to split off at the Great Solar Flash, perhaps in 2025, is going to go into a different reality. But at the end of the 1,000 years, as we begin the 1,000 years on a positive trajectory, they're going to clash again, and that's going to be the last battle. But the last battle at the end of that 1,000-year reign, my friend, is not going to be fought with, fifth dimensional warfare. It's not going to be fought with tanks and nuclear bombs and weapons. It's going to be fought between metahumans, which I call physical angels, those that did it organically, or humans with supernatural godlike abilities that are going to be capable of using their full capacity before the end of the millennium, exactly just like that picture. And it's going to be against the cyborgs and the artificial AI time lords or time loops, which is going to be the AI god and all of its minions, Enki and everybody else that decided to join with technology. So that's going to be the final battle that's going to be taking place at the end of the millennium, which will ultimately determine the outcome for the entire universe. And from what I've studied and from what I feel is that we do win that war.
I want to ask you two more questions, and then I want to give it back to my son, Tommy Truthful there. So, I keep getting in the spirit, and it's been this for years. Back in 2015, it was, the Creator was telling me, God, I call him the Heavenly Father, whatever, the invisible Father, the good. There's a lot of different words, like you said. The more you study all these scriptures and all these different religions, it all singing the same type of tune, right? And it's very interesting. But I kept on getting the great separation, the great separation. I think we've talked about that before. And now I listen to what you're saying, and then I've studied the Bible, the Christian Bible, so many times I can't even count. But they talk about the rapture. They talk about this 1,000-year reign. I keep on getting this great separation. Could this be that? And I'm not saying it is, because only time will tell. But based on what I'm listening here to you say, some people are going up in frequency, and they're gonna be part of that splitting into that heaven on earth, while others are going to stay into their arguing and fighting in negative 3D frequency, and they're going to go along with this timeline, like you said, into all of that AI stuff, and then where it comes and reconverges at the end to wipe basically for good
Yeah.
evil off this whole existence, not just this where we're at, but completely out of existence. Am I on point there? Or
Yes, yes, you're absolutely on point. You hit on the target. That's exactly the way I was able to pretty much decipher a lot of these manuscripts and holy texts, because they all talk about the same thing. And one of the connections that I made between this ultimate evil that we fight at the end of the millennium is and what we call the Antichrist is artificial intelligence. When John the Revelator was trying to describe back then 2,000 years ago that this machine, he didn't call it a machine, he says this beast is going to be everywhere at once. It's going to know all things. It's going to display supernatural abilities. Well, how do you think it's going to be everywhere at once and know everyone and everyone's thoughts, tap into everyone's thought at once? Because of the fact that it exists throughout everyone's devices. So through your cell phone, through your iPhone, right now your iPhone is studying you. Your iPhone is sentient already. For those that think that these things that we use on a daily basis are just, you could say gadgets. Guess again, these gadgets are now sentient, and they are literally, we're feeding it data, and the data is going to some sort of artificial nervous network that is creating the nervous system of the beast. And when the elites talk about the Internet of Things and smart cities and the smart grid and all that stuff, well, that's when the beast becomes fully aware everywhere all at once, knowing everyone, knowing all things, and displaying supernatural powers. And one of the things that John said was that it's not going to be a fallen angel, it's not going to be a demon, but it's going to be something else. But he couldn't really describe what a super AI machine was 2,000 years ago, to those people back then.
they didn't know.
He did give us details as to what this beast was going to be all about. Well, when you think about it, when in the negative timeline, right, when they throw everyone into this smart grid, global smart city scenario, that's going to be that's exactly what they call the technological singularity, which is where AI is everywhere. AI is in your walls, it's in your bathroom, it's in the chair that you're sitting. Everything's going to go smart.
Like Kurzweil talked about, Ray Kurzweil.
Yeah.
Agenda 2030 and all that. And then by Agenda 2045, they said we'll be like a hologram in a simulation, which is probably that Phantom Matrix. I think your roofer might be an NPC over there messing up. I'm just playing, but yeah, it's getting it's definitely ramping up, and people think we got all this time, but I mean, Agenda 2030, that's what, 5 years away, man. And
well, yeah, look at the time. I mean, look at this year just started, and we're here almost at the end of the year, right? I mean, it's flying by at the speed of light.
Yeah.
Also, son, I don't know if you heard of this. There was this near-death experience testimonial about looking into the future a few decades ahead, and where all the cities were run by super AIs, and that everybody, buy and sell had to have, that be in that system. And if you weren't following the rules of that system, you're just basically, gobbled up into this, matter, energy. They just basically dissolve you, you know what I mean? And you're gone out of society. So you know, that timeline that we're looking at on the dark side of the equation is not going to be somewhere where anybody's going to want to be. You know, and what do you suggest for folks that aren't out there, you know, preparing themselves for this, you know, rapture, great separation, timeline split? What is your suggestions for them, man? You know, to get ready for this? Because I agree with my son. I don't think that we have a whole bunch of time left. I'm not a time date setter, but you know, I can feel something's gonna blow, something's getting ready to pop in a big way.
Well, we are expecting some sort of massive revelation, which is the true meaning of apocalypse, a disclosure of enormous proportions beginning in 2025 when the new administration comes into power. You know, I heard that one of the first things that they're going to release is you know all the people that were connected to P. Diddy and that includes Oprah and you know a lot of high level influencer celebrities. I also heard that they were going to also release the list of the you know everybody that attended the island. I also heard that RFK Jr. is going to take on literally the pharmaceutical cartel and end the American Medical Association in replacement with natural, homeopathic, holistic, you know, energy bands, things that do work. You know, getting rid of the fluoride, not only in the water, but in toothpaste, food supply, getting rid of genetically modified foods. So from what I hear is that 2025 could be the year where you know the good people in power are going to be exposing all the corruption, and that's going to give the unawakened. I guess I shouldn't use the word normie anymore, but that should give the unawakened the chance to really know what's happening, and it's going to be their choice if they want to accept it or not. But let me tell you this, Papa Truthful and Tommy Truthful, when they start disclosing some of these special access projects that are related to advanced exotic technologies, extraterrestrial, you know, stuff. A lot of the religious indoctrinated people that are in the billions, I'd say a good 4 billion people, which is half the population, are either devout Catholics, devout Muslim, devout Jews, or devout Christians. And that's about a little less than 4 billion people. About half of the population, not mentioning the 30% of them, which are NPCs, are going to have very difficulty digesting all of the extraterrestrial phenomena that is going to be disclosed. So that could be some sort of a pushback in a sense where, you know, a lot of these fundamentalist religious fanatics are going to be saying, well, that's ungodly. That's not in the Bible. You know, aliens are all demons. There are no good aliens. You know, so they're going to be kind of, it's going to be very hard to go around them. So there will be pushback by the fundamentalist religious people. So yeah, you know, that's going to be an issue. But to answer your question, my friend, when all this stuff is revealed to the general public, the unawakened is finally going to have an opportunity to either accept the truth or continue their life in ignorance. And yet when the solar flash takes place, because they made that choice, unfortunately for them, they're going to be left behind. They're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
They're not going to be going to the new earth.
Is it like you know, remember when me and you and B-Del was talking and we had the discussion about the movie Loki in the Sacred Timeline?
Yes. I heard about that. I've never seen the series, but I heard it was good.
Yeah, it was really good. They were pruning all these other timelines, just killing millions of people on these other timelines that paired off the Sacred Timeline. And I got this boy named Sheldon. He's one of my boys on Instagram. And he said you know, people have different theories. So obviously I was telling Dad, I don't think we're on the Sacred Timeline already, but he thought we were already on the Sacred Timeline. And I did see some of his points. Like, there are really cool things happening right now. You know, when have we ever had a major politician ever talk about chemtrails, GMOs? Never, until RFK. So regardless if you think he's not good, whatever, I know there's people out there that have their own theories. I salute him for doing that. You know, he brought that to the mainstream, and that's a conversation that we need to have. I mean, that's a real problem right now. So there's things coming out that would have never made it out in the mainstream before. And that's really cool to me. But his theory is because we're already on the sacred timeline and whoever's here, they already made it. I don't think that's the case myself, as far as that goes.
Well, you know, they also portray that concept of the sacred timeline in the latest Wolverine Deadpool movie.
Yes.
So apparently Marvel, the writers of Marvel were onto something. And I think what they mean by the sacred timeline was the original Earth, the Eden, the original paradise, where we were immortal, where there was no evil, where everything was just balanced and in perfect harmony. So I think that's equivalent to the new Earth. I think that we are going to be shifting. You know, some people, the people that are at least 51% of service to others, according to the law of one material, that's all you have to do to at least make the 4D Earth reality, which is going to be by far better than this reality. So I believe that the sacred timeline is real. I believe that that's just another terminology describing the original creation, the original universe, because right now we are in a fallen state. Even our universe was hijacked or was dropped in densities where it's not existing or operating in its original frequency, you know. So I believe that the ascension of the Earth is going to mark the ascension of the galaxy, which was once part of the Andromeda system. And the Milky Way and Andromeda M31 were once merged into a bigger sphere, bigger galactic sphere. That's already happening. They're collapsing or reuniting. And then I believe that the ascension of the galaxy is also going to be the ascension of the universe. And that means that our universe is going to be restored back to the original frequency. So that, to me, is the sacred timeline. It's the timeline that was the original, you could say, thought projection coming from the mind of of God, of Source, whatever you want to call it, of this divine, you know, creator.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's what I think too. You know, we're in some type of God created us with some type of angelic technology, spoke us into existence, and how everybody has a certain code, even in this organic simulation that God created that they're trying to hijack. It has a code to it too. You know, for example, Ishmael, like if you look at the pineal gland, right? They say the pine cone represents the pineal gland, and we see it all throughout history. The Anunnaki, they had this thing called the Soul Stone. So you got the Vatican. It's like they're trying to control the pineal gland, the pine cone, the third eye, our spiritual antenna to God. And when you look at the numerology, especially in the Chaldean cipher, pineal gland open equals 64, matching first player character, and that represents the awakened avatar. And then pineal gland sleep is 63, matching non-player character, which is the sleeping human. And that number 64, that gets into Jupiter, Zeus, I guess you would say Enlil, that's his archetype. First player character 64, Phoenix Power, Planet X Destroyer, all the worlds of stage. That's all in that 64. Jupiter has one planet, 63 moons, which is a total of 64. And then Saturn, everything tied to that non-player character, the NPCs, all lines up with Saturn in the black cube of Saturn. So, you know, in the first quantum computer it's like a black cube, right? Well, not even the first one. The D-Wave we have now, the Advantage, the 5,000 qubits, it's a giant black cube too. So I found that very fascinating that it's all encoded, even in this organic simulation, with the source code. It's your name, you know, you have a code attached to you. I do. My dad does. We all do. So there's definitely, I've always thought he spoke us into existence with some type of angelic technology that we don't fully understand, Source, the creator. But
it was a frequency. First, it was actually a frequency. No, I'm sorry, it was a sound. First, it was a sound. The sound became a frequency, and the frequency precipitated into geometry, and the geometry is what gave rise to matter.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so okay. My next question for you, in the Talmud, I've showed this before. They talk about these freaking aquatic lizards, bro.
Mhm.
And, you know, I started going down this rabbit hole on because I like to look into the reptilians and what they're into. They don't seem very friendly to me. I'm not a huge fan of the whole reptilians, but I've been looking into Dagon and, you know, the Catholic Church. They seem to worship these aquatic entities, Dagon, Cthulhu. And then that took me down a rabbit hole looking into the Dogon tribe and the Nommo people. Have you heard of the Nommo, these aquatic entities? They kind of showed them in Black Panther Wakanda, well, representation of them anyways. And bro, the Dogon tribe, they knew things about Sirius star system that they should have never known. Like, who told them that? How did they know that?
Well, that's because the Nomo come from the Sirius star system. They're extraterrestrials from the Sirius star system that built a civilization in our ocean as well. So that's why a lot of these crafts that we see coming from the ocean are actually part of a ocean extraterrestrial civilization that is deep within our oceans. So the Nomos have been here for thousands and thousands of years. And yes, you know, they did work and they did help speed up evolution in Africa, and that's why they work with the Dogon tribe. So the Dogon tribe used to see them as gods because of their superiority. But back then, you know, all ETs were assumed as gods when you think about it. But now it's different. Now it's, you know, we can start saying, well, okay, well, these beings apparently have some sort of a superiority compared to us, so therefore they must be from another planet. You know, now that we understand that we're not alone in the universe, all of these beings are not gods, but they're just advanced entities from advanced civilizations. So yeah, the Nomo come from the star system of Sirius A.
Yeah, there's Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C. They say Sirius C. They think one of them's an inner Earth too, this hidden sun, right? And in that movie,
Yeah.
Wakanda, under the ocean, there was this whole civilization under the ocean with these aquatic entities, and they had their own sun down there powering it up, bro. So I wonder if that's a representation of that, you know, that sun that's hidden there. And so the Nomo, I've heard many different theories. I heard that the aquatic Nomo entities, and whether they're from a planet, guys, another dimension, it really doesn't matter, because people argue them schematics all day. But I heard these ones were good and they don't get along with the reptilians. Do you know that to be true, or is that not true?
That is correct. The Nomo and the Reptilians are enemies because the Nomos that come from Sirius are part of the benevolent groups. They're part of the, you know, Galactic Federation of Worlds, and so they don't get along with the Reptilians because the Reptilians have been trying to conquer the galaxy for many, many billions of years. And so, yeah, they're not down with them. So, yeah, they do compete. They do fight one another if they have to. And I believe that the Nommo are actually here. They came here in order to help our planet evolve. You know, they came here to kind of show us the way back into progressive evolution from, you know, ever since the Atlantean fiasco and humans were reduced to savages. I think the Nomos, among many of the inner Earth dwellers, were acting as guides to kind of help us bring us back to pace, so that we could be at this time ready to ascend.
Were they part of Atlantis?
The Nomo, yes, the Nomos were around during the times of Atlantis. Yes, absolutely.
And
Wow.
they said they're very powerful, bro, because they live so deep, so their bones are really dense.
Yeah, I mean, when you got submarines that'll get crushed,
Right.
you know, I mean, you've got to have one heck of a skeleton system of like freaking like Wolverine or something, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, in order to you know, to handle that. It's interesting, you know, how much we think we know, yet we know nothing. You know what I mean? And all of this is going to get disclosed. And you know, you made a really good point, brother Ishmael, about again, I love all brothers and sisters. I don't care if they're, you know, in Islam, Jewish, Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, as long as they're a good person and they're doing things to help their fellow man, brothers and sisters, and they're not out there hurting people, I'm all for them, you know. But at the end of the day, I could see an upheaval at a very high level as this stuff starts to come out, and that all of these folks are calling it blasphemy. And we know what we've done in the word of blasphemy before. You know, I don't know if you, brother Ishmael, have found anywhere in any of these scriptures where God, the creator, the point of origin that was always there, nothing created it, everything lives within it, and it lives within everything, or we wouldn't exist. But I never see anywhere where they say, create this religion. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see any of these major religions where God or Christ or one of these angelic beings, Gabriel, Michael, where this came out. You know, nowhere. I don't see it anywhere. And yet, you know, if you look at, you know, the originations of all of these different religions, pretty brutal stuff going on here. You know, control of people, you know, lots of stuff done, you know, from one religion to another religion based on, well, my religion is the best and yours is not. Yours is blasphemy. Are we going to have a similar situation as this stuff comes out? Because, you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, they're very passionate, and, you know, they could that trigger that? Will that be on the separate timeline?
That's a very good question. Like I said, you know, there's going to be some resistance because a good portion of our population are not going to take all this information without comparing it or making some sort of correlation with their scriptures, whether it's Quran or the Bible or so on and so forth. So the best way to do it is just to let them choose. You know, this is where they're going to have the opportunity to make that choice, because when the timeline split takes place, they're either going to go to the new earth where all of the good people are going, or they're not going to go to the new earth. And oh yeah, another thing is that there's going to be a middle timeline, by the way. In the middle timeline, we're going to have everyone coexisting. We're going to have Earth Terrans, young souls that are going to be upgraded to live for a few hundred years. And then we're going to have metahumans, angelic, physical superhumans that are going to be living for thousands of years, very immortal. And then we're also going to have AI and cyborgs. So in that world, in that middle timeline, that's going to be like the age of superheroes.
No,
I'm trying to be in that middle timeline. I'm trying to rock out in that middle one.
Yeah, because in the middle timeline, we're going to have a chance to fight and protect the Earth Terrans from the AIs and the cyborgs that are going to be.
That's my type of vibe right there.
I want to ask you, I want to make a statement about this book. And it was, and you do it as well in The Secret Government, but you really, you know, give folks an understanding of how all this also correlates with scripture. And, you know, we talked about it before that, you know, we only got 66 books and there's 700 missing or something ridiculous number. I think there was 360 just with Enoch, 366 or something. So you think a lot of people think, oh, well, I know all about this, but you don't, because you're missing, you know, 99% of the picture because they're not showing this. But you did a really good job. I don't think any person that is religious reading this book would get offended, because the one thing you've done very well, you know, in your books is the correlation with the scriptures. You know, they weren't just put out there. We're not saying that the scriptures like Revelations or the book of Daniel or all of that, you know, Ishmael's not talking about that, you know, if you read his books and listen to him, he's correlating all this stuff with that stuff. And it's, you know, and going back into that battle that started billions of years ago. Who knows? I don't know the timeline, Ishmael. You do know it better. But I mean, I'm going to be, you know, as this stuff starts to come out, you know, more and more people, I hope, get access to your books. I hope more people get your books out there, because I think that could be a really great starting point for them to understand this correlation. You know, I mean, it's pretty powerful what you put together. And I think, you know, that's your purpose. You know, that's one of your purposes for being here, brother, is, you know, you have to help as many people as possible transition into that heaven on earth and not freaking a cyborg. I mean, that's a horrible. I don't know if anybody ever seen a Borg, but that's not a good. That's not a good future. That's for sure.
Yeah, the name of my book is called Our Cosmic Origin. I was just reading on the chat. Somebody's asking what's the name of the book. Our Cosmic Origin and the Secret Government Invisible Architects. Those are the two books. Now, I do want to address a question that I saw earlier. Somebody asked if Elon Musk is the Antichrist, and the answer to that is no, he's not the Antichrist. The Antichrist is actually the emergence or the incarnation of the Ahriman, also known as the AI Omega, the AI overlord of all the negative alien syndicates. And Elon Musk is just going to provide the infrastructure for the emergence of the AI overlord Omega to make its appearance in the negative timeline in order to rule his kingdom for 1,000 years.
Wow. So, you know, if all of this stuff is going to be happening very rapidly, right? I mean, we're really going to see, you know, we're sitting here at the end of November 2024, 20th of November.
Joe Biden's birthday, by the way. That
Joe Biden's birthday. Oh, I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm not wishing him a happy birthday. The dude's trying to start World War III.
Yeah. He's trying to blow us up right now.
His puppet masters are trying to start World War III. What is your take on that, brother? You know, we got this situation, and again, I am all about God. You know, the Creator. Men and women have a role to play, right? You know, the divine works through a lot of different people to get things done. I believe Trump is part of that role. But what do you think is going to be going on for the next, you know, December, January? I mean, we don't have a lot of time here for all of this stuff to happen. You know, say that this is, you know, there is a target that this solar blast might happen in April, right? We don't know for 100%, but it could happen. It's the solar maximum. We know we've been getting blasted this whole year.
Blasted with them,
I mean, we're getting blasted left and right. The Schumann resonance is increasing. I mean, people that are working in the light know, they feel it. I feel it. I know people that are helping destroy darkness in, you know, all of existence, not just here on the planet, helping, you know, dissolve that. And you know that we were all made in the Creator's image. When you step into God's power, you can do things like you and TJ were talking about, where you're superhuman. There are beings like that already. You know what I mean? They're already here. I love what you just said about the 3 timelines. I mean, that's very super exciting. You know, you can be a cyborg, or you could you could be in the 4th one, living a few hundred years, or guess what? You can go up to the next one and be like a freaking beyond a Superman, doing really good for all of existence. What do you think's going to happen? Yeah, I love that, man. What do you think's going to happen over the next couple of months?
All right, that's something to. But before I answer your question about like what's going to be happening in the next couple of months, based on what I've heard, what I've researched, I want to make a statement, and that is, if God was not done, or had not been, how can I say it? The best way to say it. There was a reason why, you know, Mr. T was safeguarded from 2 assassinations. Apparently, God wasn't done using him. Okay, so there is a higher power that's overseeing what's happening in our world at large.
You can say Trump over here, dude.
Okay, I could say Trump. Okay, so whether people like him or not, I mean, the guy was preserved for a very reason, because he's part of the end times prophecies. Believe it or not, as far as like helping restore, expose, and usher in our world into a golden age. And he does make that phrase, he does mention that phrase over and over in a lot of his talks. So to answer your question, what I see happening in the next 2 months is there's going to be an attempt to bring about the 3rd World War, because they know they lost. They only have less than a month and a half to, you know, destroy the planet, to make sure that Trump and the White Hats do not come into power on the 20th of January. So they're going to do everything in their power. However, on the same token, Trump and the White Hats are already negotiating a global peace treaty with all of the countries. So even though the MSM, fake news media still telling us that we're on the brink of war, that Ukraine is about to launch some missiles into Russia, which is not good. We're hearing that every day, right? It's all over the news. At the same time, that is all theatrical. That is all theatrical because from behind the scenes, Trump, Putin, and Zelensky, the president of the Ukraine, have already signed you could say, a secret ceasefire agreement or something to that effect, where they're going to end the war. They're going to end the war in the Middle East. That's another thing that Trump and the White Hats are doing, is that they're also solving the issue with Israel and Palestine. And when they do that, Trump is going to get a Nobel Peace Prize for bringing world peace. So that's what I've been told. That's what I research, and it seems like everything's heading into that direction.
You know, we're 60 days away, brother. Today is November 20th.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 60 whatever. So December 20th, January 20th. 60 days away. Joe Biden's birthday today in our 21 episode, and we got brother Ishmael Perez here talking about this subject matter, brothers and sisters. So think about it. It's really important that you get with Ishmael, get in his mailing list, get on his site, get some of his cool gear, get on his YouTube channel, subscribe, definitely get on his Rumble channel too, because who knows, hopefully YouTube's getting taken over by good people, but they didn't like Papa Truthful talking about what I was talking about last week, so they gave us a strike and took us down for 7 days. But anyways, make sure that you get connected with Ishmael, because he's got a lot of intel that he's giving out. Every Monday night, he's giving out intel. He does a Saturday night. I mean, this gentleman, this young man, by the way, I found out he's still very young, but I thought he was much younger when I first met him. But he is giving a lot of his time answering questions, giving out great information. So make sure you plug into him so that you can keep up to date with what's going on, on a weekly basis, because he does do that and he stays on there, some of these things are 90 minutes, Ishmael, and, you answer everybody's question. You really do a great job, and you're a great example to humanity. And I hope more people, get to do what you're doing, because we have a lot of work to do. We want to try to save as many people as we can, but I don't think, again, we have a lot of time. I just feel like something's going to pop. I don't know when and where, but it feels it.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling it intuitively that something's about to happen. Something good. We are at the precipice of a whole new era. But right before we start tasting the fruits of this new era, there could be some backlash. There could be some resistance, and there could be some upheaval. And if that's the case, we just have to be ready for it. But know that we are at the cusp of a whole new era. We're ending one cycle. We're ending a 2,160-year age, Pisces, as we go into Aquarius. We're ending a 25,000-year cycle. And believe it or not, guys, we're also ending even greater cycles that are currently not being measured by our scientists. That has a lot to do with like I said, the completion and ascension of the Milky Way, the completion and ascension of the universe, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and aren't we going into Pluto or we're in Pluto, and we're going to be in there. It's going to be retrograde, Aquarius, and all that for the next 20 years. And when you go back in time and you look at what happened, it was, like you said, great revolution, great upheaval, but for the planet and the people, for freedom, for all of that. It looks like that's pretty much on point. What'd you say, son?
This lady here, guys, I don't trust her, though. We need to keep our eye on her, because she could be one of the deep state's plants there to try to be a gatekeeper with Trump. If he is good, I hope he is. But this Susie Wise, I looked into her, Ishmael. She worked for Big Pharma her whole life. And I don't trust her or Elon Musk. Neither one of them two I don't trust. And you know who this lady is, bro?
I think I saw her for the first time when Trump on election night, when Trump was giving his words on winning the election,
Yeah.
he introduced her, but she was like, I guess the way he introduced her was she was very shy.
Her nickname is the Ice Maiden. She's
Yeah,
the Ice Maiden. And look, I look at her numerology, and Susie Wiles is 846. That's that infamous number, guys. They use it in all their little psyops. 9/11, the first plane hit at 8:46 a.m. First person jabbed up in America. Sandra Lindsay, her name equals 846. They kneeled on George Floyd's neck, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, which all that gets into the DNA, and I'm not going to get into that too much, but banking collapse is 846. And what scares me about her is she is a very powerful first player character archetype and carrier of the Neo code. So I already know what that means. And it just scares me as she's working for the dark side because, bro, she has tons of big pharma ties. You know what I mean? And they're going to try to infiltrate people around Trump if he is good to mislead him. You know that.
That could be a possibility. Yeah. Even what's his name? Mark Rubio.
Yeah. I don't trust him either too much.
I don't trust him either. So there's a few people that are now part of his cabinet that I don't trust, but for the most part, everybody else, RFK,
I like RFK.
Yeah. Tussie Goldberg.
Yeah, she's good. I like her too.
Tulsi,
yeah.
Yeah, her, and a few others, of course, but overall.
Matt Gaetz, unless he did, they're trying now to smear him as a pedophile.
Oh, God.
I mean, my gosh, it's amazing what's going on.
Is there any evidence of him being a pedophile? Because a lot of these politicians.
Well, no, DOJ looked into him for 2 years and couldn't find anything to charge him with. Believe me when I'm telling you, they would have found something.
So what's the thing, Pops? Like, why are they trying to?
Well, because Trump appointing him as Attorney General of the DOJ, and if that happens, oh my gosh, he'll rain all hell down on these people. Because he's been jumping in their face for years. Listen. I hope to God. I don't know the man. I don't judge his heart. I'm not saying, but I mean, I like what he's done. I like what he said. He's like that Margie Taylor Greene. He's like Tulsi, he's one of those people that I believe are good, doing good. Ishmael, before we close tonight, I wanted to talk to you about a dream that I had. And, I had 4 dreams and then whatever TJ wants to ask you before we close. But I wanted to run this by you and ask you what you think about it. So I know that the Creator uses everybody for specific reasons, right? And that doesn't mean those people are going to make it into the 4th or 5th dimension or 6th dimension, whatever frequency that is. They might end up staying, some of them, in the 3rd dimension. This is just my thought process here. I'm just thinking. But yet they accomplished a specific goal of waking more people up or bringing out disclosure or whatever it may be. But I had 4 different dreams that I think were pretty much on the nightmare timeline, the hellish, all hell breaks loose timeline. And, the last one was I was with Trump in the office, the Oval Office, and we were on our knees, almost getting under the desk because the roof either was gone or it was transparent. And I got to tell you, all hell was breaking loose, right? Besides the East Coast tsunami, the West Coast tsunami, and seeing a planet that was melting everything. Because our dreams are very interesting, right? Our dreams, and this happened during the Revelation 12 sign that happened in 2017, right? I think the 4th quarter sometime. Now, do you think Trump, because he doesn't seem enlightened like you or me. You understand what I mean? Do you think he's going to head to that positive timeline, what he's doing? Or could that be where under this situation, this split happens, this 3-time split happens, and he's literally still on that same timeline with the Elon Musk and all this stuff that's going on with AI, and he's really embracing AI, he's really embracing crypto. These are the kind of things you need in place in order to take total dominance over humanity, and then go down that cyborg path. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, Trump plays dumb. He plays like he doesn't really know stuff. But there's been a few interviews where he admitted that he was tied into the Q movement, that he was, part of some bigger network with over 200 generals and lieutenants that were worldwide and that are, fighting the New World Order, the bankers. There's been a few times where he admitted it, but for the most part, he plays dumb. He plays like he doesn't know what's going on. But you have to understand that this guy had access to all the secret information, all the classified knowledge, the special access projects, the AUPs and all that stuff. So he knows about the extraterrestrials. He knows about the hidden technology. And right now, from what I believe, is that he's actually going to be the one who's going to roll all that out and reveal that stuff. So it's no longer going to be compartmentalized. Now, as far as him promoting crypto and AI, I was told by the Galactic Alliance that there are two Trumps. That there's one that is that is going to help us usher in the positive timeline, the age of Aquarius. And that's the Trump that's going to bring us back to the U.S. Treasury, backed by silver, gold, and platinum, XRP, XLM, the quantum financial system, not Bitcoin, not crypto. That's the good Trump. And then there's the bad Trump. The bad Trump is the one that's going to be working with EI in the setting up of the AI timeline and rolling out the automatons. So there's definitely two Trumps, and one of the ways in which people can distinguish the difference between these two Trumps is that the Trump that's part of the side of the positive timeline that is going to usher in the quantum financial system, U.S. Treasury backed by real gold and metals, right? U.S. note, not crypto or Bitcoin, is the one that wears the red tie. And then the other Trump is the bad Trump is the one that wears the blue tie. So that's one way in which people could distinguish them both.
That's crazy. There's two. I mean, listen, Ishmael, I hope, me, brother, I'm not real big on any politicians, but I do pray that he's good. I mean, I hope so. I give credit to anyone when they do something good. And I salute RFK for what he said about GMOs and the fluoride. That's amazing. So,
and 1,000 poisonous ingredients in our food. I mean, no politician has got on a stage like that where tens of millions of people were watching and have said that stuff, and I guess he beat some people also in Supreme Court, right, Ishmael? He's beaten a couple of these pharmaceutical companies, and he's beaten some up. So I pray for Trump. I pray for his family. I pray for his inner circle. I pray for his supporters, just like I pray for everybody to wake up and come to the Creator and get on the right timeline. But any closing questions for Brother Ishmael here tonight, Tommy, before we go?
Oh, no. I'm just thankful for you coming, brother. I appreciate you. I always have fun with you. We'll have to get you and B. Dell on another podcast again. That one did really, really well. People really enjoyed that. And thank you for coming on. Guys, make sure you get his book. That link is down below. Don't forget to get your right there. Yep, check it out. An amazing book, Our Cosmic Origin. And the other one is The Secret Government. Them links are down below. And thank you so much for coming on, brother. We really appreciate you. I always love hearing your perspective and your thought process. So
thank you, Brother Ishmael.
Well, guys,
you're welcome. Thank you.
We're out of here. And when I go, guys, it'll play an outro so you two gentlemen can dip out if you got to go.
Thank you, son.
We're out of here. Love y'all.
Okay.
Yo, we living in a sim, reality's a game. NPCs around us, they all look the same. soulless entities controlled by AI. Quantum computer running life, asking why. Are you just a player, controlled by machine, or a first player character, living the dream? Tap into the code, break free from the lies, decode your gematria, see through their disguise. In the simulation, what's your role, what's your fate? Are you real or controlled, can you navigate? Elites use gematria, secrets in the code. Find out your archetype, let the truth unfold. Super quantum computer, pulling all the strings. NPCs moving like puppets on a swing. The Matrix got nothing on the life we lead. Green letters falling, it's the truth we need. Are you just a player, controlled by machine, or a first player character, living the dream? Tap into the code, break free from the lies, decode your gematria, see through their disguise. In the simulation, what's your role, what's your fate? Are you real or controlled, can you navigate? Elites use gematria, secrets in the code. Find out your archetype, let the truth unfold. Archetypes defined from NPCs to Neo. First players rise, let your true self show. Do the